Every single year in India, millions of families bet their entire life savings on one single promise, an engineering degree. But is that degree still a golden ticket? Or is it becoming one of the biggest, highest-stakes gambles a family can make? We're going to break down the real, unfiltered economics of that choice for anyone looking at the class of 2026.
So let's start with a number, 1.5 million. That's how many new engineers graduate in India every single year. Now, that's not just some statistic you hear on the news, it's the bedrock of a national dream, a number that has literally shaped Indian society for decades.
But here's the catch. That massive number, it hides a pretty brutal reality. Of those 1.5 million hopeful graduates, less than half, we're talking just 41%, will actually land a job when they graduate. And that gap right there between getting the degree and getting the job, well, that's where the real story begins.
And this brings us to the first part of our whole equation. See, to really get the outcome, you have to think about the choice itself in a different way. This isn't just picking a career path anymore, it's a high-stakes game.
You know, success here is not guaranteed, not even close. Whether you end up building the next big tech unicorn or, just struggling to make ends meet, it all really boils down to three critical things: where you study, what you study, and, crucially, how well you can code.
So to calculate any kind of return, you first have to know the cost, right? So let's get real about the price of admission into this game. And look, the investment doesn't just start on the first day of college. Oh no, it begins years before that. Just the preparation phase, the intense coaching for entrance exams. That alone can cost a family between 12 and 20 lakh rupees. That is a life-changing amount of money spent before a single tuition fee is even paid.
And then you've got the degree itself, and this is where the costs just go in completely different directions. 4 years at a top government-run IIT is going to set you back around 10 lakhs. But a degree from a top private college like BITS, you can expect to pay more than double that, somewhere closer to 22 lakhs. So your total investment, all in, could easily be anywhere from 10 to 30 lakh rupees.
So you've made this massive investment. Now we enter what I call the Great Divide. This is where two key choices are either going to multiply that investment or watch it just stagnate. And those choices are the college you go to and the branch you pick.
There's this quote from an engineering student that just says it all. You can be in the same college, living in the same hostel, taking the same exams as the person next to you, and be on a completely different financial trajectory.
Let's put some hard numbers on that. Take IIT Bombay, right? A top computer science graduate there, on average, starts with a salary of 25 lakh rupees. Now, a mechanical engineering graduate from the exact same campus, they're averaging less than half of that, just 12 lakhs. Your branch choice isn't some small decision, it's a monumental one.
This huge salary gap, it forces this phenomenon that we're now calling the Great Pivot. What happens is, by their final year, students who spent years specializing in things like civil or mechanical engineering are suddenly in a desperate race to learn Python and Java, basically abandoning their core subjects just to compete for a job.
And honestly, can you blame them? The data is so clear, you just have to follow the money. In 2025, a staggering 62% of all engineers who got placed, it doesn't matter what their original branch was, ended up in an IT job. I mean, just imagine that. 4 years studying thermodynamics only to spend your career writing SQL queries.
The other side of this divide is just the raw power of the college brand. The opportunities are worlds apart. A student from a Tier 1 college, they might get, say, 40 interview calls right there on campus. Meanwhile, a student from a lower-tier college might have to send out 200 applications just to get a single callback. 200. So, after navigating the investment and this great divide, what are the actual career paths that are available? Where does it all lead? Let's take a look at the career endgame.
Your career is probably going to fall into one of three buckets. The huge majority, about 65% of all engineers, will end up in service companies, starting at around 3.5 lakhs. Then you have the elite track. The product companies, the Googles of the world, offering massive salaries but hiring fewer than 5,000 engineers in the entire country each year. And finally, you have the specialized core engineering roles for those who are really, truly passionate about their original field.
All right, we've defined the investment. We've talked about all the variables. Now it's time to calculate the final return. This is the bottom line. So here it is, the 10-year return on investment. For an IIT computer science grad, that return is a mind-blowing 3,500%. Even for a core branch at that same IIT, it's a very strong 1,800%. But now watch what happens. For that same core engineering student,
But from a private college, the 10-year ROI just collapses to 350%. The math is absolutely unforgiving.
Which, of course, brings us back to the ultimate question we've been building up to this whole time. After looking at all these numbers, is an engineering degree in India actually worth it?
The numbers really only lead to one very stark conclusion. If you are not graduating from a top-tier college, or you're not performing in the absolute top percentile of your field, the return on your family's huge investment becomes, well, questionable. This is a game where the winners really do take it all.
But wait, the old equation we've been talking about? It's already becoming obsolete. There is a new, incredibly powerful variable that is changing absolutely everything for the class of 2026 and beyond. And that final variable is AI.
And this right here is the single most important thing to understand. AI isn't coming for engineers' jobs. It's coming for mediocre engineers' jobs. The future isn't going to be defined by your college rank or your branch alone. It's going to be defined by the quality of engineer you decide to become. And that is the only part of the equation that you truly control.